News every 15 minutes, weather every 10, and sports twice an hour.
Newstalk KGVO, AM 1290 and 98.3 FM.
You're listening to Montana Morning with Peter Christian.
Montana takes center stage in a battle over the VA. Good morning, it's John King filling in for Peter Christian, who's taken the day off. Your news this morning brought to you by Larry's Tractors, Trailers, and More, your Coyote dealer on Highway 10 West in Missoula and in Hamilton. U.S. President Donald Trump is going toe-to-toe with Montana Senior Senator Jon Tester after Admiral Ronnie Johnson withdrew from being the nominee to head up the VA. Here's how Trump sounded during an interview with Fox News.
These are all false accusations. These are false. They're trying to destroy a man. For Jon Tester to start bringing up stuff like Candyman and the kind of things he was saying, and then say, well, you know, these are just statements that are made. There's no proof of this.
The Candyman reference is something Jon Tester claimed during an interview on CNN.
The word is that on overseas trips in particular, that Admiral would go down the aisleway of the airplane and say, all right, who wants to go to sleep? That's the reports we got from the 20-some people who got a hold of us and said, we've got a problem, this doctor has a problem, because he hands out prescriptions like candy. In fact, in the White House, they call him the Candyman.
Tester also went public with the accusation that Jackson was drunk at times while on duty during his service to former President Barack Obama.
The truth is that Admiral Jackson was the primary health care provider for the president. And if you're drunk and something happens with the president, it's very difficult to go in and treat the president how it needs to be done. So this is totally unacceptable under this environment, and that's what multiple people told us this was the case on several different trips.
Trump has hammered back at Senator Tester, claiming that this will impact Tester's re-election bid.
I watched what Jon Tester of Montana, a state that I won by like over 20 points, really, they love me and I love them. And I want to tell you that Jon Tester, I think this is going to cause him a lot of problems in his state.
Montana Senator Steve Daines also entered the fray during a conversation with Town Square radio host Aaron Flint, though Daines stopped short of mentioning Tester by name.
So it's unfortunate that Senate Democrats have dropped rumors and allegations, yet I think another example of this resistance movement against this president, what we're trying to do here. But what concerns me the most is the fact this is an admiral. He deserves more respect than that. The best way for him to answer these tough questions would be in front of our veterans, and that would have been through a public congressional hearing.
The row could end up luring the president to Montana to campaign against Tester and rally his base, which would be a rare occurrence. Such an appearance is possible, though, as Republicans are hoping to flip Tester's seat in the 2018 election. A Missoula woman says her beloved Boston Terriers, Buddha and Bailey, were found dead under suspicious circumstances this Tuesday, bleeding from the nose and mouth in her yard in the Elmar Estates area off of Mullen Road. Here's Elizabeth Houston.
Tuesday afternoon, somebody had thrown some poisoned sausage pieces into my fenced yard, and both my Boston Terriers unfortunately ate it, and they got poisoned from it. They have died. Tuesday night, we found a pile of vomit from the dogs, and we found individual pieces of sausages with some kind of substance inside of it.
Houston says the substance was collected and sent to Washington State for testing by a local veterinary clinic. The dogs will be cremated, but Houston is worried that the same thing will happen to someone else, if it hasn't already.
I found out about another case that happened Monday night. I am still in the process of trying to track down the person that's happened to. It was also somewhere here off of Mullen Road in my neighborhood. I know that they also filed a police report, just like I have. I'm just asking everybody to please share this, because everybody in your community needs to know this, needs to be aware of the danger.
KGVO has reached out to the Missoula County Sheriff's Office for more information. The results of a toxicology test have not yet been produced. Just before 3 a.m. yesterday morning, 911 received a call from the north side of town reporting a loud crashing sound. Missoula Police Public Information Officer Travis Welsh explains.
An officer was dispatched to the sound of breaking glass in the 300 block of East Front Street. When he arrived, he noted that he was at a construction site, and as he pulled up, he had a full view of one side of the building that was under construction, and he observed a male breaking out a glass window with what he described as a fire extinguisher.
More police came in an attempt to get the man to leave the construction site.
The officer called for additional assistance. Other officers arrived and formed a perimeter around the building. They attempted to call out the male over the PA. However, he remained hidden inside. They started an interior search and eventually located Justin Houston on the second floor. The officers noted that he appeared to be under the influence of something, but they didn't know what at the time.
The officer's report says the suspect had smashed in at least 10 windows by the time police arrived. Houston was arrested without further incident and now faces a felony burglary charge and a felony charge for criminal mischief. A Lolo parent says her son was the victim of a hit-and-run incident around 8 a.m. yesterday morning.
My 13-year-old daughter and my 9-year-old son, they ride their bikes to school every morning to Lolo School. And they passed the Superstop gas station, and they were waiting for the crosswalk for the intersection to say it was okay to walk. And a lady pulled up and stopped, so my son started walking his bike across the road. And as soon as he got to about her driver's side headlight, she decided to proceed through the intersection and hit the back of his bike and his leg.
The boy's leg was reportedly pinned between the car and the bike. The mom says she believes it will develop a, quote, pretty good bruise, end quote, but says her son wanted to go back to school to participate in a special project due that day. The driver of the car apparently sped off. Highway Patrol Trooper Rob Strouch called us and was able to identify the suspect vehicle later that afternoon. Also spoke with the driver, who turned out to be a young girl, also a minor. Strouch says that there was no malice behind the accident and that the driver was apologetic, but that the driver should have called authorities after the incident. The Montana Commissioner of Political Practices has levied a fine against the Montana Board of Regents for a violation of the state code of ethics. Commissioner Jeff Mangan, in the case of Adams v. the Board of Regents, ruled that the board violated the ethics code in 2 separate incidences.
The Montana Board of Regents did indeed have to fall under Montana's Code of Ethics and found that on 2 occasions, under 2 meetings, that they violated that code when they improperly used state facilities and state equipment at 2 of their board meetings to solicit or support a ballot issue.
Mangan said his office levied a fine against the Board of Regents of $3,000. Reached at her office on Thursday, spokesperson for the Montana Board of Regents, Blair Fieset, said the board accepts the commissioner's decision.
The complaint was held up, and that we totally understand that, and we were in the wrong in regards to how board members speak about a 6 mil levy during board meetings and other public functions. We've requested clarification from the commissioner on where that money can come from and how we allocate it, and so those are details we're working through right now.
Like all state agencies, the Board of Regents has been required to cut their budget in response to the crisis that occurred in the last legislative session. So at this time, it's not known where the $3,000 is going to come from to pay the fine.